Hello, and welcome to the Sunday night edition of I'm Still Playing. I hope you guys have had a fantastic weekend. The missus and I, we just got back from a camping trip over the weekend, actually, where we took the kayaks and the travel trailer up to Lake Bonham and did some kayaking, and I'm a little red from the result of it, but we had a really great time. What that does mean, though, I was a little late getting back this afternoon, so I'm a little late getting this video put together, but we'll do the best that we can and see what we get. So I am still playing the War Within expansion for World of Warcraft, and I'm having an absolute fantastic time with it. I did finally finish the campaign, and now I'm tackling all of the post-campaign content that's out there, and there is a ton of that. The new season will start on Tuesday, and so there will be even more content coming out, and we'll cover some of that, I'm sure. But before I get into all of that, I've had a few people ask me, hey, what add-ons are you using? And as I've kind of getting the feeling that a lot of the people that are coming to my blog are people that are just returning to World of Warcraft because now is an absolute fantastic time to do so, then I thought it might also be a good time to talk about what add-ons I'm using, because that can be a really daunting task, right? To kind of figure out what you do and don't want to install, because there is just a shit ton of stuff out there, and trying to distill what is most useful for you and your style of play can be quite a task. And before you even tackle that task, you're going to need to figure out how you're going to manage your add-ons. You can install and uninstall each one the old-fashioned way. And for a long time, add-on managers for World of Warcraft had gotten to be a real mess, and there weren't even really good ones to use for a while. We had lost a lot of our favorite ones. However, though, in most recently, Curseforge has emerged, at least for myself, as a really great, competent, clean add-on manager. That's what I'm using right now. And as you can see, a number of mine are actually in need of updating. And that's what makes using Curseforge so nice, is that I just click on each one in turn. Curseforge handles all of the updating for me. No, this is not an advertisement for Curseforge. I just find it a really particularly useful add-on manager. And right now, actually, because Blizzard is putting out content so often, literally every week, you can count on having to update your add-ons pretty much once a week to keep them up to date. So yeah, I would recommend a manager. Curseforge is one that works for me. Okay, let's get to the add-ons themselves. As I mentioned earlier, I try to keep my add-ons to a minimum, and my choice of add-ons is really geared for my style of play, which puts a heavy emphasis on questing, world questing, and some dungeons. It's not really geared for heavy competitive mythic dungeons or heroic raids or rated PvP. With that said, I am going to break my list down into what I consider must-haves and then some nice-to-haves. Let's get to it. Okay, so at the very top of this list should be Deadly Boss mods. Even if you don't think you're going to do any group content at all, just install Deadly Boss mods. You want Deadly Boss mods core, and then you want Deadly Boss mods dungeons, delves, and events, at least for those most of the sort of lightweight content that I like to do. So even if you're doing just follower dungeons, or if you're just running delves, or you want to go do some world bosses, the great thing about Deadly Boss mods is you just install it and you forget about it, and it helps you in all of your dungeons and all of the group content. And at some point you're going to do some kind of group content, right? You're going to be doing some stuff. So so just install it, and then like if we look at the menu, and then we do add-ons. So you'll see main core options and status bar timers all turned on. And then I don't mess with brawlers ever, so I leave that turned off. I turn on delves, all the dungeons from the War Within and Legion and before. And then all of these other things that you can decide for yourself if you want them or don't want them turned on or off. But yeah, go and install Deadly Boss mods. It just helps you in all of your group content. Install it, forget about it, use it, take advantage of it. Okay, the next UI add-on that I would definitely recommend everybody get is BTWQuests. You can see it right here. I absolutely love BTWQuests, even though WoW's default quest UI has gotten orders of magnitude better than it used to be, and you can pretty much get by with using just that default quest UI alone. BTWQuests still does a really good job of showing you sort of like where you need to go and what things you haven't done yet and how you can get to them. So here's the default quest UI, right? And it tells you that, look, I've got, War Within campaign, 2 of 5 chapters. It breaks all of my quests down by category, all stuff that you're aware of, right? Great stuff. But what if I'm trying to get the achievement for completing all the quests in this zone and I don't know exactly what quests I haven't done yet? That's where BTW Quest comes in. So on a per zone basis, it will tell you which ones you've completed and which ones you have found. So for instance, I've got still some stuff left here that I haven't done for Isle of Dorn. And I'm like, oh, these are all the quest hubs that I have. But look here, look, a Star of Dorn. I haven't done this, okay? So this is what I probably want for the quest. So I click here, and it gives you a great breakdown of everything that you have to do for that particular quest, and including where to go to get it started. So go to Stage Mana Herberta. I click on Stage Mana Herberta. It puts a little mark on my map, And furthermore, it integrates with TomTom and gives me a little crazy taxi arrow to go directly to that location. Isn't that cool? Isn't that awesome? That alone is worth its weight in gold in terms of like just being able to go where you want to do and do what you want to do. But even more so, right? So let me go ahead and remove this real quick. In BTWQuests, for instance, if I go back up here and I look at behind closed doors, here I'd forgotten what I needed to do with sedition, right? But here's sedition right here on my map. It's already a quest that I have that I need to turn in. It gave up the marker for it right there. And again, I can close this, and now the quest marker is updated with the direction that I need to go turn in sedition. So yeah, BTWQuests, fantastic add-on for questing. If you're trying to collect quest achievements for everything that you want to do in a particular zone, I absolutely highly recommend it. Speaking of questing UIs, this leads me to one of my next favorite add-ons, and that's DialogUI. Bayolar actually mentioned this in one of his videos, and I've been trying it out, and I just want to echo him and saying this is an absolute fantastic add-on for questing. Again, for basically running around and picking up those quests. What DialogUI does is it enhances the quest dialog box. So it pulls the camera down close, as you can see when I interact. Isn't that great? It gives you a nice little field of view for the quest. It breaks this up in much more cleaner presenting interface. It tells you, the things that you can do here, obviously, like your normal questing interface. Then it breaks it down into your choices as well here. I can pick this up. Again, it's going to unroll it out here to tell me the things that I want. It has a couple of items. It has a dark version of this that you can try. So yeah, the theme, you can choose the dark theme if that's your gig. And then you can see you've got a much better, or not better, but a different version of the UI than you can see. I like the light brown theme myself. That's why I use it. But it's definitely there for you to use. So that's kind of cool. And then again, you can show NPC's name. It's got a ton of controls here for allowing you to customize the quest experience, if you will, in terms of the things that you want to do and the things that you want to see. So yeah, I just highly recommend this. It just enhances the quest experience. One of the kind of cool thing it does is that it brings up, when you get a new quest item, it'll bring it up in a dialog box that you can see that provides a little special focus for that item, which again is really a nice kind of thing. Nice little just touch to kind of let you see what's going on there. I like it a lot. And then I guess probably the last add-on that I would mark as a must-have is Auctionator. And Auctionator is, as you can probably guess, an auction house add-on that enhances the auction house experience. It's not really, I like to think of it as like Auction House Deluxe Lite. It is not the full hardcore, deep diving, fully programmable add-on that allows you to maximize and to control the gold market on your server kind of thing. What it is really just some nice enhancements to kind of give you a better idea of what things are going for on your server. And then also, when you're looking at items in your inventory, for instance, you can have some idea of whether or not, if that thing was going to sell on the auction, what its auction price would be. But for instance, these Underscout's Glaive of the Quickblade here, they would vendor for $63, but they have been recently seen on the auction house for 450 gold. So that gives me a hint right there that I might want to throw this on the auction house versus just using them. When you bring up Auctionator, when you use it, it's simple. Its use is really simple. The first thing you want to do is go to the Auctionator tab anytime you visit an auctioneer and click on Full Scan. And then once it's scanned everything, you just click on Selling, right? And it'll show you all the things that are available for you to sell. You just click on any one that you want. Like for instance, if I want to get rid of this unseasoned fuel steak, I can see the list of all the most recent auctions for that particular item. And I can say, okay, yeah, let's put out this list of unseasoned fuel steak, and we'll undercut by 78 cents, 78 silver. So we'll say 78 for 48, post. Yeah, I know it's a bit low. Go ahead and post it up anyway. See, so there you go. Really, really handy add-on. Like I said, it's not for controlling the auction house. It's just a really, really sweet add-on for getting the more out of the auction house when you're there and helping you turn over mats that you might pick up and want to get shut up. And I think that takes us out of the realm of absolutely must-have add-ons, at least for me. Like I said, there are a lot of add-ons that specialize in particular styles of gameplay that if raiding is your thing, or if healing is your thing, then there are class-specific add-ons, geared towards that. I don't need to tell you that. You guys know all that. These are the things that I find the most useful. In addition to that, though, there's a couple of things that I've also found pretty useful and I try to keep on hand. HandyNotes, obviously, as you can see here, and in HandyNotes, the various pieces of HandyNotes that you need. Right now I've got the War Within, Treasures and Rares, and Dragonflight all installed and being kept up to date. And I wouldn't even turn on HandyNotes, honestly, until you finish the campaign, because it really does clutter up the map. But, I mean, along with the nice thing about it, cluttering up the map is it provides you with a ton of information about where you can go to find rares, to find pieces that you have into treasure chests that you might not have gotten to, things like that. And that's what makes it so useful, right? And you're not going to really be pursuing all of that, or at least I wasn't, until you finish the campaign. So leave HandyNotes off until you finish the campaign, I would suggest. But then once you've done so, when you're ready to do that in-game and you're starting to look for rares each week and things like that, then yes, install HandyNotes and turn it on and start checking it out, because it'll be very useful at that point. Besides HandyNotes, there are a couple of other ones that I really enjoy. Details, of course, is the damage meter, the DPS meter. You can see it down here in the lower right-hand corner. There's not a lot to say about Details, except that it does its job incredibly well. As you can see in my last follower dungeon, I was 3rd in DPS. And here's the thing, even if, again, if you're not doing a lot of group content, which I'm not. So far I've run delves and follower dungeons, but I'm probably going to want to do the LFR raid when it drops next week, and I'll eventually be doing some heroic dungeons, I think. That's probably the extent of the group content, but even then, I still want to do my best. I want to try to improve my DPS as much as possible. So yeah, I installed an add-on to keep track of my damage and to see how I'm doing against other particular people in my class, as well as I like to compare my DPS against other classes that I play, right? So how is my Fury Warrior doing against my Beastmaster Hunter, doing with my playstyle, right? So yeah, I find Details to be really useful in that regard. Again, you may be the kind of player that just doesn't care about what your DPS is, but if you do care, Details is a great add-on to have for that. Besides those, I think I would also recommend TomTom. TomTom is sort of the default for providing waypoint arrows. And the most useful thing about TomTom is that if you ever look up anything on the internet and it tells you where it is, it's going to give you an waypoint. And with TomTom, if it's in your zone, you can just type /way 5574 if that's where it is, and it'll give you a crazy tax arrow telling you exactly where to go to get to that. And that's super useful in and of itself. I actually had to turn off TomTom a little bit earlier because with all of WoW's new questing enhancements, TomTom is almost a little too aggressive, I think, in putting up those waypoint arrows. But yeah, it's still a really useful add-on, and I definitely recommend it. Another one I think you'll enjoy is DragonRiding, or at least one that I've gotten some good use out of. So what DragonRiding does is it puts a little bit enhanced UI for when you're flying. You can see what your speed is, and if I'm currently going fast enough to gain mojo, when it's in the purple, like it is right now, and in still blue, you can see I'm still gaining the bars. But then once it drops down below and down to the brown, you're no longer getting the bars. So it's really just kind of a speedometer for DragonRiding to help you with enhancing that ability to keep that DragonRiding mojo up and going while you're flying around. And the last UI add-on that I want to mention in the, hey, you might want to take a look at this, it's really pretty nice to have, is Narcissus. And the only reason that Narcissus gets just a passing mention from me is that this is an incredibly powerful UI add-on that does a whole lot that I have only scratched the surface on. So I don't really feel like I can give it the justice that it deserves, but it is a great add-on for a variety of things. If nothing else, if you just click on it, it gives you a nice breakdown of your gear here in a very pleasant manner. Tells you what your current eye level is, what your renown is across various the factions, then what your hotbar looks like, and it even gives this great sort of breakdown of where your substats are in terms of your current gear. So really useful information. Beyond that, it's got this crazy photo mode where you can do all kinds of things with setting up a really cool shot of your character with different animations and different lighting effects. You don't see me doing any things right now because I really haven't used this to near the extent that it's available. But I definitely recommend you look into it. It looks to be sort of a great feature that I'm not taking advantage of, but it's definitely there as a part of Narcissus. Additionally, they have, of course, the dressing room. Again, your ability to basically use your own particular outfits that you have available. Here's my Stormwind outfit. You can see what it looks like without having to be at the transmog, right? Harbinger, love this. Here's my my favorite Smutmog collected from everywhere, right? So those are great. Again, it's just an ability to kind of view your transmogs and get control of your transmogs. Some of these other features like the turntable and achievements, I couldn't even tell you. I guess this is an enhanced version of your achievements UI. And again, a lot of great stuff in Narcissus. I do recommend it. It's a really nice quality of life UI you might want to take a look at. And I think that pretty much covers it. There's still a couple of other add-ons that I'm toying around with, like Plater nameplates and Plumber. I don't really want to go too much into depth about those until I've spent more time with them and feel like they're going to stay in the lineup and I really find them useful. And I think there's probably one other vlog that I want to create where I talk about WoW's editing feature, the new UI editing feature where you can move stuff around. It's actually really useful, and there is some good tips about it that I think might be worth sharing. But that will have to wait for a future vlog. In the meantime, you guys let me know what you think. Are there any of the UI add-ons that you are using and you feel like are must-have that I didn't mention? If so, mention them in the comments below and I'll absolutely take a look at them. Until next time, I will see you in-game. You guys have a great night. Talk to you soon.